There comes a moment in every life when the truth can no longer be avoided, a moment when the excuses fall silent, when the distractions lose their power, when you stand alone with the reflection of your own potential, and you realize you are not what you dream, you are not what you say, you are only what you discipline yourself to become. The world does not reward wishes, it rewards resilience. It does not elevate the merely talented, it elevates the relentless, the few who are willing to do the hard, unseen work that no applause ever greets. You can desire greatness with all your heart. You can crave success with every fiber of your being. But if you do not discipline yourself, mind, body, and spirit, then your desires will rot into regret. Discipline is the sculptor of destiny. It is the silent hand that chisels dreams into form, that shapes potential into power. And without it, your life will be like an uncarved stone, full of possibility, yet destined to remain forever formless. Look around you. History remembers those who conquered themselves long before they conquered the world. Carnegie, Ford, Edison. They were not simply men of ideas. They were men of action governed by ruthless discipline. They mastered the invisible first, their thoughts, their habits, their beliefs, and then they bent the visible world to their will. Understand this now. No one will force you to rise. No one will build your empire for you. No one will hand you the discipline you need. It must come from within. It must be summoned in the silence. In the early mornings when no one is watching. In the late nights when quitting feels justified. In the lonely battles when doubt whispers louder than belief. Discipline is not something you have. It is something you choose. Moment by moment, hour by hour, day after day. It is forged in the decision to keep going when your body aches, when your mind screams for comfort, when the world offers every excuse to stop. It is built in the small, invisible choices, the ones that seem to matter little, but together form the architecture of an extraordinary life. You become what you discipline, and what you refuse to discipline becomes your prison. If you discipline your mind to focus, greatness will follow. If you discipline your body to endure, strength will be your ally. If you discipline your emotions to remain calm under fire, leadership will become your second nature. But if you allow laziness to dominate, if you let distraction own your days, if you let fear dictate your steps, then you will not live the life you could have had. You will live the life that your excuses carved for you. The truth is brutal, but it is liberating. You are always becoming something. The question is, are you becoming what you truly want? Every moment you delay discipline, you delay destiny. Every shortcut you take, you rob your future self of strength. Every indulgence you justify, you weaken the foundation beneath your dreams. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. It is the path out of mediocrity and into mastery. It is the bridge from who you are to who you are capable of becoming, and only the disciplined will cross it. But it begins in one place, and one place only, the mind. The mind is the forge where discipline is either tempered or shattered. It is the battlefield where victory is first won, or forever lost. Before you can control your actions, you must first command your thoughts. Before you can discipline your habits, you must first discipline your inner dialogue. You will never outwork a mind that is undisciplined. You will never outperform a belief system built on fear, on laziness, on excuses. You must rewire yourself, not once, not twice, but every day until the new way becomes the only way. Because if you do not master your mind, the world will master it for you. It will feed you distractions and call it entertainment. It will feed you doubts and call it realism. It will feed you mediocrity and call it a life. But if you seize control, if you take full ownership, you become unstoppable. You become the architect, not the victim. You become the creator, not the consumer. You become the driver, not the passenger. And how do you do this? You begin by guarding your mind like your life depends on it. because it does. You choose the voices you allow into your mind. You choose the ideas you water and the ones you starve. You choose the images you feast on and the thoughts you dwell on. You do not let small-minded people design your future. You do not let temporary feelings sabotage permanent goals. You do not let fleeting circumstances shape eternal decisions. Instead, you train your mind daily, as a warrior sharpens his sword, by speaking life when the world speaks doubt, by envisioning victory when the world screams defeat, by holding fast to your vision when the crowd mocks and misunderstands, because here is a secret the world will never tell you. The stronger your mind becomes, the quieter the noise of the world grows. The stronger your discipline becomes, the fewer excuses remain believable. The stronger your focus becomes, the more unstoppable your results. Most people will never understand this. They will tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to be satisfied with small dreams. Not because they know better, but because your rising exposes their settling. Your discipline reflects what they refuse to face in themselves. But you are not here to fit their mold. You are here to break it. You are here to set a new standard, first within yourself, and then in the world you shape by your example. And it begins with the mind. Master the mind, and you master the man. Master the mind, and you master the destiny. This is why the greats, Lincoln, Edison, Carnegie, spent more time sharpening their minds than showcasing their results, because they knew the unseen always precedes the seen. The invisible always governs the visible. Before the world applauds, discipline must take root in silence. Before victory is celebrated, victory must first be declared, alone, unseen, unwavering, so within the mind. And once you command that inner domain, once you refuse to be ruled by fear, laziness, comparison, or defeat, you become something rare, something powerful, something inevitable. You become a force the world must reckon with, not because you demand attention, but because you have become undeniable. And it all starts here, with what you discipline, with what you refuse to surrender, with what you choose to master every single day, when no one is watching and every excuse feels justified. Because the mind is both a prison and a palace, and you, and only you, hold the keys. Once the mind is conquered, once the chaotic storms of fear and doubt are silenced, a new horizon appears: vision. Because without vision, even a disciplined mind drifts aimlessly. Without a destination, discipline becomes a prison, not a pathway. Purpose breathes life into discipline. Vision fuels the fire when motivation fades. You must know what you are building before you can endure the price required to build it. You must see it so clearly in your mind that no setback, no insult, no delay can make you forget why you began. The great architects of history, the inventors, the empire builders, the world changers, they were not motivated by shallow goals. They were seized by vision, a vision so massive, so magnetic, that it pulled them forward when lesser men quit. Carnegie didn't endure a brutal childhood just to make a little money. He had a vision to revolutionize an industry. Edison didn't withstand thousands of failures because he wanted to tinker. He had a vision to illuminate the world. Ford didn't challenge the old way of thinking because he was bored. He had a vision of a future where every family could afford mobility. Vision transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Purpose transforms pain into fuel. When you operate without vision, every hardship feels senseless. Every criticism cuts deep. Every delay feels like a defeat. You begin to wonder why you should keep going at all. But when you have a vision that grips your spirit, every obstacle becomes simply a test. Every criticism becomes noise. Every delay becomes temporary. Because you are not living for comfort. You are living for a cause greater than comfort. And hear this well. You cannot borrow vision. You cannot copy it from someone else. You must craft it within the furnace of your own soul. What is it you are willing to suffer for? What is it you are willing to be misunderstood for? What dream can set your bones on fire when the nights are long and lonely and no applause can be heard? Find it, name it, own it, because discipline without vision eventually rots into resentment. But discipline fueled by vision becomes unstoppable. The dreamers who have vision and no discipline will always be outrun by those who have both. The world is not changed by the most talented. It is changed by the most relentless. Those who see what is invisible to others and work for it while others sleep, doubt, and delay. When you rise each morning, it is your vision that must speak louder than your excuses. When setbacks crush your plans, it is your purpose that must remind you why you started. When the world tells you to quit, it is your burning inner vision that must answer, I will not. Because this is how greatness is born, not through random luck, not through natural genius, but through an iron commitment to a vision that refuses to die. The world will always tempt you to shrink, to lower your standards, to forget your dreams, to settle for the mediocre and call it good enough. But you are not here to blend in. You are here to rise. You are here to break generational patterns. You are here to show what is possible when one human being decides to discipline themselves in service of a purpose greater than comfort. Vision is the blueprint. Discipline is the bricks. Faith is the mortar. Persistence is the architect that brings it all together. Without vision, you will abandon your path the first time it becomes hard, and it will become hard. Without purpose, you will negotiate with fear, and fear always drives a hard bargain. Without a reason greater than your feelings, your discipline will crumble when no one is watching. But with vision, real vision, you become dangerous. You become someone who cannot be bought, who cannot be swayed, who cannot be broken by the petty doubts and fears that cripple ordinary men. The disciplined mind, guided by burning vision, moves like a force of nature. Silent, unstoppable, inevitable. Vision without action is hallucination. Dreams without movement are nothing more than chains disguised as hope. If you see the life you want, and yet you do not act, you suffer twice. First, from the hunger of an unfulfilled destiny, and second, from the slow, silent death of your own integrity. Because every time you see the path forward and refuse to walk it, a piece of your belief in yourself begins to die. The world is filled with people who had grand visions once, ideas that could have reshaped industries, healed communities, transformed generations. But those ideas were buried under the rubble of procrastination, drowned in the river of excuses, forgotten in the comfortable graveyard of someday. You are not here to be one of them. You're not here to make wishes. You are here to make war against every excuse, every delay, every weakness that dares to stand between you and the life you know is yours to claim. Action is the declaration that your vision is real. Action is the proof that your discipline is not a hollow performance, but a living force. Action is the sword you wield to cut through doubt, through fear, through every obstacle that would dare to oppose your will. And it begins, not someday, but now. Not after you feel ready, not after the conditions are perfect, not after you've gotten more approval, more resources, more guarantees. Now, because now is all you ever truly have. The disciplined life does not wait for permission. It does not wait for ideal circumstances. It creates its own momentum, even when the wind is against it, even when the path is unclear, even when the world says it cannot be done. You think Carnegie knew exactly how to build an empire before he took his first job in a telegraph office? You think Edison had a blueprint for how to light the world before he failed 10,000 times? You think Ford had a guarantee that the world would want what he built? They moved first. They acted without certainty. They walked through fear rather than waiting for fear to leave. Because here's the brutal truth. Courage is not the absence of fear, and it is action in the presence of it. Faith is not a feeling, it is a decision. Discipline is not about waiting until you feel like it. It is about commanding yourself when you don't. Every empire, every invention, every revolution, every life of greatness, all of them were built one action at a time, one small, imperfect, sometimes terrifying step at a time. Not grand leaps of glory, but daily, disciplined, invisible movements that over time became unstoppable momentum. Your vision must move from the realm of thought to the realm of action. Your dreams must bleed into your behaviors. Your intentions must become execution. And the beautiful thing is this: you do not have to build it all in a day. You do not have to conquer the mountain with one heroic act. You only have to take the next step with discipline, with faith, with fire. Because momentum is the reward of movement. Confidence is the reward of consistent action. And greatness is the reward of choosing discipline when comfort would have been easier. Every day, you are either moving toward your vision or away from it. There is no standing still. There is no neutral ground. There is only action or abandonment. And if you are disciplined enough to choose the next step, even when the applause is absent, even when the way is unclear, even when every emotion tells you to wait, you will find yourself growing into someone that even your old self would not recognize. Someone stronger, someone sharper, someone worthy of the life they once only dared to imagine. Because you do not get the life you wish for. You get the life you work for. You do not become what you daydream. You become what you discipline. And action, daily, disciplined, defiant action, is the first true proof that you are becoming who you were meant to be. But if you believe that action alone will shield you from hardship, you are mistaken. The path of discipline is not a straight line. It is not a clean staircase to the summit. It is a battlefield, filled with unexpected turns, unseen ambushes, storms you cannot predict, and challenges you cannot control. And this is where the true warriors are separated from the dreamers. Resilience, adaptability. It is not enough to act once and expect the world to bow. It is not enough to move once and expect the gates of fortune to swing open. You will act. You will move. You will give everything you have. And sometimes the world will answer with silence. Sometimes it will answer with resistance. Sometimes it will knock you flat on your back and dare you to get up, and you must. Not once, not twice, but as many times as it takes. Discipline is not just about starting. It is about continuing. It is about standing back up when the dream costs more than you thought it would. It is about adapting your strategy without abandoning your mission. Because discipline without resilience is a candle in the storm. It burns brightly for a moment and then dies. But the discipline rooted in resilience, that is an inferno. It is the fire that storms cannot extinguish, setbacks cannot smother, delays cannot drain. Understand this deeply. Every failure is fertilizer for those who are disciplined enough to learn. Every setback is raw material for those who are disciplined enough to adapt. Every closed door is a redirection, not a rejection, for those who refuse to quit. Carnegie faced ruthless competitors and massive financial losses before building his empire. Edison faced public humiliation and the label of failure before giving the world the light bulb. Ford was laughed at, ridiculed, dismissed before he redefined transportation forever. They succeeded not because their first plan worked. They succeeded because their discipline was stronger than their disappointment. Their resilience was greater than their resistance. And this must become your truth as well. You are not fragile. You are not here to be easily broken. You are not here to collapse at the first sign of struggle. You are here to be shaped by it, strengthened by it, sharpened by it. Because discipline is not forged in comfort, it is hammered in adversity. Character is not sculpted by applause, it is carved by struggle. Greatness is not handed to those who dabble, it is earned by those who bleed, who fall, who rise, who persist. And resilience is a decision. Just like discipline, it is not a feeling. It is a command you give yourself. I will not stay down. I will not surrender my future to temporary pain. I will adapt. I will rise. I will overcome. When one path is blocked, you find another. When one door slams shut, you build your own. When one method fails, you invent 3 more. Because discipline, without flexibility, becomes brittleness, and brittle things shatter under pressure. But the disciplined mind that also embraces adaptability, that mind becomes unbreakable. It becomes a force that cannot be predicted, cannot be contained, cannot be defeated. The world will test you. It will question how much you really want it. It will strip away your comfort, your convenience, your illusions, and it will reveal whether your discipline was real or just rented for easier days. When you are disciplined enough to adapt, every challenge becomes a pivot, not a prison. Every failure becomes a redirection, not a definition. Every storm becomes a sharpening, not a sentence. And the world, for all its chaos, all its uncertainty, all its injustice, will not stop you. Because you will not be depending on the world to create your path. You will be creating it, step by step, stone by stone, with the unbreakable resilience and relentless adaptability of a mind that has already decided, I am not here to survive. I am here to rise. There is a secret weapon few recognize, a force that multiplies resilience, fuels adaptability, and sharpens discipline beyond imagination. Gratitude. Not shallow, surface-level gratitude that only whispers thanks when everything is perfect. Not gratitude that depends on getting what you want. True gratitude. Gratitude that breathes strength into broken days. Gratitude that sees opportunity even in adversity. Gratitude that refuses to let hardship define the story. You see, most people live in a mindset of lack. They see what's missing, what's broken, what hasn't arrived yet. They see what didn't happen, who didn't support them, where they fell short. And because they focus on lack, they attract more of it. Because they water resentment, bitterness, and defeat, those are the crops they harvest. But those who discipline their minds to gratitude, those who train their eyes to see abundance even before it fully materializes, those who find reasons to be thankful even in the storm, they unlock a reservoir of strength that ordinary minds never touch. Gratitude renews the mind like rain renews the earth. It clears away the dust of disappointment. It softens the hardened ground of despair. It allows new seeds of possibility to take root. When you choose gratitude, you refuse to be a victim. You refuse to be trapped by what is missing. You declare that abundance is already at work in your life, not because everything is easy, but because you see deeper than circumstances. Carnegie saw opportunity in poverty. Edison saw invention in failure. Ford saw freedom in every mechanical breakdown. Not because they were blind to hardship, but because they refused to give hardship the final word. They disciplined their minds to gratitude. Gratitude for the chance to fight. Gratitude for the lessons hidden in loss. Gratitude for the privilege of shaping their own destinies against the odds. You must do the same. Gratitude is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It is the choice to focus on your power, not your problems. It is the decision to find light when the world hands you darkness. And gratitude renews discipline itself. Because when you are grateful for the opportunity to grow, you embrace challenges instead of resenting them. When you are grateful for the chance to build, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. When you are grateful for the journey, you endure the hardships without bitterness. The undisciplined mind grumbles. The disciplined mind gives thanks. And this mental shift, this daily disciplined return to gratitude, it changes everything. You begin to see setbacks as setups. You begin to see closed doors as divine redirections. You begin to see critics as teachers, not enemies. You begin to see obstacles as the sharpening stones of greatness. Gratitude is not passive acceptance. It is active empowerment. It is the lens through which discipline becomes not a burden, but a blessing. Because when you realize that every struggle, every delay, every hardship is shaping you into something stronger, something wiser, something greater than you ever imagined, you stop resisting life. You start cooperating with it. You move with the river instead of drowning in it. And the world, sensing this quiet power radiating from within you, begins to move differently around you. You no longer beg for opportunities. You no longer chase validation. You no longer fear rejection. Because you know deeply, unshakably, that you are already rich beyond measure, rich in discipline, rich in gratitude, rich in the invisible wealth that builds unbreakable men and women. And from this wealth, you build the visible, you build the tangible, you build the empire of your dreams, not because luck favors you, not because fortune stumbled upon you, but because you disciplined yourself into alignment with the very forces that create all greatness. Gratitude transforms the heart. It sharpens the mind. It energizes the spirit. And it powers a level of disciplined action that no mere motivation could ever sustain. Choose gratitude daily. Discipline your focus toward abundance. And watch how the world, and more importantly, how you, are transformed. But even with gratitude, even with discipline, even with vision and action, there will come moments when the path darkens, when the results delay longer than you ever thought you could bear, when the silence from the world is deafening, when your hands grow tired, your mind wavers, and every step forward feels heavier than the last. It is here that the final forge of greatness waits, faith, not blind, empty belief, not wishful thinking, not naive optimism, but unyielding inner certainty. A fire so deep, so primal, that no external circumstance can extinguish it. Because true discipline does not only endure action, it endures silence. It endures obscurity. It endures ridicule. It endures the long, lonely winters when nothing seems to grow, yet you plant anyway. Because you believe, no, because you know that the harvest is inevitable for those who refuse to quit. Faith is the discipline of holding the invisible vision long enough for the visible world to catch up. It is trusting the process when the rewards are invisible. It is sowing seeds day after day, season after season, even when the ground looks barren. It is knowing that greatness does not happen overnight. It compounds silently, invisibly beneath the surface, until one day the world calls it overnight success. But you will know the truth. You will know the years of unseen labor, the months of planting when there was no applause, the days of showing up when no one was watching, the countless silent victories of choosing discipline over doubt. You see, endurance is not an accident. Endurance is a discipline. It is a habit built choice by choice, forged hour by hour, tested in the fires of disappointment, and proven in the cold winds of delay. You must understand, the dream is tested for its worthiness, and so are you. The life you seek demands a version of you that does not exist yet. And every delay, every difficulty, every detour is the sharpening of that future self. Faith is the bridge you build from who you are to who you must become. It is the unseen currency that purchases endurance when motivation has run out. It is the silent contract between your soul and your destiny, signed not with words but with perseverance. And know this, most will not endure. Most will start with a flash and die out with a whisper. They will mistake the first closed door as a final answer. They will mistake a slow season as a dead dream. They will surrender their futures for the convenience of certainty today. But you are made of different material. You have chosen the narrow path, the disciplined path, the path where faith is not optional, it is oxygen. You move not because the road is easy, but because the vision is true. You rise not because you always feel strong, but because you refuse to stay down. You endure not because it's comfortable, but because comfort has never built a legacy worth remembering. Faith is not waiting. Faith is walking forward when the map is blank. Faith is swinging the hammer when the stone has not yet cracked. Faith is sowing the seed when the sky is dark and the ground is dry. And here's the sacred secret most never learn. Every act of endurance sharpens your mind, deepens your spirit, hardens your discipline into something indestructible. The longer you endure with faith, the more dangerous you become, because eventually nothing can break you. Delay cannot break you. Disappointment cannot break you. Doubt cannot break you. External failure cannot define you. You will have transcended the normal rules of success and failure. You will have entered the realm where only the relentless remain, the few who refuse to die with their music still in them. And it will no longer matter how long it takes. It will no longer matter how many seasons of obscurity you endure, because you will know, deep in your bones, I was built for this. I have disciplined myself into inevitability. The man who refuses to quit cannot be defeated. The woman who endures beyond all logic cannot be denied, because they have become something greater than ambition. They have become embodiment of the very laws that govern success itself: discipline, faith, endurance, inner certainty. These are not talents. They are not gifts bestowed by fortune. They are choices, forged by fire, proven by time, chosen again and again, long after the feelings have faded. And when you have made these choices enough times, when you have planted these seeds deep enough into your spirit, you will become unstoppable. Not because the world made it easy for you, but because you refused to let it break you. Because you became the rarest of all creations, a person who disciplined themselves into destiny. And when that day comes, and when you look back across the road you've walked, the battles you've fought, the storms you've endured, you will understand something few ever truly comprehend. It was never the trophies. It was never the recognition. It was never the applause that made you powerful. It was the process. It was the daily choice to discipline yourself when no one was watching. It was the silent victories won against your weaker self. It was the small, invisible acts of courage that rewired your soul and fortified your spirit. You will realize that discipline was never a cage. It was a set of wings, heavy at first, unwieldy, demanding. But with each step, each sacrifice, each act of endurance, those wings grew stronger. Until one day, without warning, you lift off. You rise, you soar above the noise, the mediocrity, the smallness that once tried to cage you. You become free. Not because the world changed, not because circumstances became easier, but because you changed. Because you became a person who no longer needs life to be easy in order to move forward. Because you became a force that no failure could defeat, no criticism could cripple, no fear could bind. You became what you disciplined. The mind you forged, it thinks differently now. It sees challenges not as barriers, but as opportunities to grow sharper, stronger, deeper. The spirit you tempered, it refuses to fold. The habits you cultivated, they now carry you when motivation fades. The vision you held, it has carved itself so deeply into your identity that nothing can tear it from you. And this is the secret the world will never tell you. Real success is not something you achieve. It's something you become. Success is not a destination. It is a transformation, a metamorphosis born of disciplined thought, disciplined action, disciplined endurance. It is the unveiling of who you truly are beneath the layers of weakness, fear, and doubt. It is the emergence of the version of you that was always possible, if only you were willing to pay the price. And now, standing at the summit of your own hard-won mountain, you will not feel arrogance, you will not feel superiority. You will feel something greater, something purer, something unbreakable. Pride, not in the outcome, but in the overcoming. Gratitude, not for ease, but for the sharpening fire of the journey. Certainty, not that the road ahead will be smooth, but that you are ready for whatever comes, because you are no longer the person who needs perfect circumstances to thrive. You are the person who creates strength from struggle. You are the person who builds bridges where others see walls. You are the person who moves mountains because you first mastered moving yourself. And the world, whether it recognizes it or not, will be reshaped by your existence, by your example, by your quiet, relentless, disciplined rise. Because when you discipline your mind, when you discipline your vision, when you discipline your habits, when you discipline your emotions, you create a life that cannot be denied. You forge a destiny that cannot be stolen. You become the living proof of one eternal truth. Success is not an accident. It is a decision renewed every day by every action, by every thought, by every refusal to quit. And if you stay the course, if you keep disciplining when others give in, you will look around one day and realize you have become the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, not because life gave you what you asked for, but because you gave life the best of who you are. You chose growth over comfort, vision over convenience, faith over fear, discipline over drift. And in doing so, you unlock the rarest of all victories, not just success in the world's eyes, but the triumph of the soul over the chaos of existence. You conquered the only thing that ever truly mattered, yourself. And because you conquered yourself, there is no world you cannot conquer.